A pleasant day, everyone. My name is Dian Alexander de Ocampo, and I am the first reporter for Chapter 14, Elderhood. We are discussing the age na hindi na nakakamit ng marami, and we will definitely question kung bakit nabubuhay mga tao na matagal. The Longevity Revolution. The 20th century was unique in human history in the large percentage of people who lived well beyond their reproductive and childbearing years into later adulthood and elderhood. This new facet of life raises questions about the pattern of mortality after achieving reproductive success and about what, if any, limit there might be to the human lifespan. So, since we are all mortals, there will always be an end of our lives. We could have accidental death, such as car accidents, or even natural deaths. So, the occurrence of longevity is made possible because of the medical and technical innovation that hold the promise of preventing some of diseases now associated with later life. So, yung merong applied research na nag-provide ng prevention and cure. For example, sa tetanus, cancer, tuberculosis, and flu. Secrets to longevity. Longevity is a product and an interaction of the biological, psychological, and societal system. So in our book, there are 6 basic elements listed to longevity. Number 1 is the motivation to live. It is the faith of a person that he has for himself, the persistence to live life. Sa madaling salita, it is a person's will to live. I think it is the first element because it can be one of the strong foundations of one's longevity. Kasi how can you support the other elements or paano palakasin yung ibang elements if wala kang motivation to begin with? Number 2 is the appropriate diet. Ito yung proper nutrition intake ng individual na nagamay sa kanilang food and sa kanilang balanced diet. Number 3 is the medical attention or the healthcare, which are the medical advances in diagnosis, emergency treatment, new medicines, and new patterns of care. Number 4 is the intense physical activity. It is the fitness changes in individuals' behavior patterns. Ito yung lifestyle nila if they practice proper exercise or they do walking every day. Next is the number 5, cultural activities. It is the practices learned in the community and household. Dito nahuhulog yung customs kung ano ang pinagtutuunan ng pansin ng isang community. Do they have this culture na they have this specific diet ba? Or are physical activities practiced well? Or do they provide proper healthcare? Last is a healthy environment. So the increasing number of people reaching advanced age can be the result of improvements in environment. So napapansin nyo mas madaming tumatanda na nakatira sa bukid kasi yung quality ng water at yung quality ng air ay healthy para sa katawan nila. Unlike sa dito sa syudad na most probably polluted kaya yun merong health problems ang isang tao. So, all these elements are interdependent and actively influencing each other, kaya nabuboost ang longevity. So, the 6 elements, again, are the motivation to live, appropriate diet, medical attention, intense physical activity, cultural activities, and a healthy environment. The gender gap among the very old. This gender gap in longevity is observed in virtually all countries of the world, but the differences are accentuated in the developed countries. The imbalance in the sex composition is much more noticeable today than it was 50 years ago, when there were about as many men as women in the older than 65 category. So earlier this semester, we discussed in Chapter 1 the lifespan. Gender differences in life expectancy is obvious, and women have longevity advantages more than men. It is due to number 1, estrogen, since ito yung may protective effect that helps women reduce risk of heart disease, especially during the childbearing years. Second is men are physically larger on average than women, so their cells must reproduce more often, and are at greater risk of exhausting their regenerative potential. So, women have the advantages because men are more exposed to physical labor, military service, accidents, and injuries. Kaya mas nauna silang mamatay. The other factor is that men have greater risk in heart disease and lung cancer because they expose themselves to the use of alcohol and the use of cigarette. A new psychosocial stage, which is elderhood. This is the stage of life that is experienced by the long-lived in a community who have outlived most of their age mates, drawing on the concepts of village elders who share their wisdom and help resolve their community disputes. We call this stage elderhood, which is the life in 75 till death. We should identify elderhood as a unique developmental stage for those of unusual longevity. Ewan lang sa iba ha, but I do believe with the idea that to age or growing old is a gift. Sa case study dito ng chapter, yung kay Fred Hale na bakit may nagtanong na bakit daw nabubuhay siya ng matagal. And he answered na baka daw punishment lang. May iba ding mag-agree na nagsasabi na life is already hard as it is. Bakit pahabain pa? I do understand and like what Mamayka have said a few times na may challenges and conflicts along the way as you progress through life. And seeing yourself grow is such a blessing and a privilege na makita mo kung sarili mo na nagka-wrinkles, may lines of foreheads, yung mag-white ng buhok mo. It is like, it serves an indication na you really made through it all. With advanced age din naman, a person is less constrained by pressures and social demands. So in a sense na individuality is expressed freely in this age. Kaya nga, di ba, we seek wisdom from the elderly. But I'm not saying na wala pa rin conflict, which is we'll discuss further in our report. So in this stage of elderhood, meron ding own developmental tasks, which are the coping with physical changes of aging, developing of psychohistorical perspective, and traveling uncharted territory, life structures, and elderhood. The first developmental task is coping with physical changes of aging. Aging, which is a continuous process over the lifespan, includes both development and decline. In later life, some physical changes are considered to be normal or expected and not especially related to a disease. People who are well educated, have access to healthcare and other resources, and have observed healthy lifestyle practices in early stages of life are still going to experience some of the normative changes of aging when they reach advanced age, such as some loss of muscle strength or difficulty returning to normal respiration after periods of exertion. So, as I've mentioned, yung mga wrinkles and all the physical changes is present naman talaga in this stage. There is no way to avoid the realization that with advanced age, one's body is not what it is used to be. When you are 75, you can't expect yourself to be lively as you were when you were younger, and it can be challenging to an extent. The bones and the muscles of elders not being strong and leading them to stop from doing simple tasks like before. Mas madali na silang mapagod. And that is okay since it is a normative change of aging. Again, in this stage and in other stages, meron talagang both development and decline. So, physical changes of aging are multidimensional and variable across individuals. Changes happens and it is necessary. It is normal kahit sabihin natin na health conscious ka masyado when you were younger. Di ka panindigtas sa pagbabago ng katawan mo through aging. Whether you like it or not, magde-decline talaga katawan mo from extent of works. The big difference is that your risk factors na tulad ng magka-diabetes, osteoporosis, cancer, high blood, or other heart disease ay lower na lang compared sa the ones na may less healthy lifestyle. So, in the book, na mentioned sa page 572, the physical changes of the stage in elderly can serve as a counterpart in early adolescence. Though slower ang rate sa ganitong age, madami pa ding changes tulad ng sa appearance, sa body shape, strength, stamina, endurance, and many more. So the topic of fitness, sleep and rest, behavioral slowing, sensory changes, health, illness, and functional independence combine to provide a picture of physical changes of aging. Fitness. There is a great deal of variation in fitness among people after age 75 as patterns of activity or inactivity, endurance or frailty, and illness or health take their toll. What is described here might be thought of as the usual patterns of aging. However, these changes are not inevitable and in many instances are reversible or modifiable with appropriate intervention. So, merong 7 components na nag-include ng measures intended to assess fitness among the elderly, such as coordination, reaction time, balance, muscle strength, muscle endurance, flexibility, and cardiorespiratory endurance. Ito yung components na nag-a-assess kung may decline ba sa physical health and fitness ng individual. O, di ba? May development and decline naman in the stage. And most people experience decline sa physical fitness nila in late 20s or early 30s. Depende na lang sa kanilang own lifestyle. Pero in this stage, in elderhood, present na kaayo ang decline na dili na jud pwede ang prolonged exertion kay naga-degenerate ng respiratory ug circulatory system sa elderly. So, ang pag-circulate sa oxygenated blood kay slower na than usual, kaya mahina din ang pag-distribute ng nutrients nila sa buong body. So, matagalan din ang pag-remove ng carbon dioxide. Commitment to physical fitness is important for everyone for in the future they are in their best possible physical condition. Sleep and rest. Older adults seem to need about the same amount of sleep, 7 to 9 hours a night, as younger adults. However, older adults tend to go to sleep earlier and wake up earlier than when they were younger and spend less time in deep sleep, which may be why older adults often report being light sleepers. So, merong significant sleep problems that occur for elderly na may various medical conditions. This includes pain, pananakit ng katawan. So, paano sila makakatulog ng mahimbing when they feel pain? The second one is the sleep apnea, which is the breathing disorder while sleeping. I observed my grandmother na ganito, na when she's in deep sleep na, suddenly mag-grasp for air. So, yun na, maapektuhan ang kanyang tulog from time to time. So, next is movement disorders. In this age, present na talaga ang degeneration ng systems ng body. Yun, ang movement disorder din, ito yung neurological condition na nag-degenerate na nag-affect ng activity sa brain and nerves. Yun nga, may part ng brain, which is the cerebellum, na meron ng damage na control sa muscle coordination ng elderly. So, there are 3 listed movement disorder, which is tremor or trembling, shaking in one's body, yung pag-control ng body nila. So, gising sila kasi nga nag-tremor. Next is dystonia, which is the involuntary neck muscles contraction. So, na-observe ko din to sa lola ko na nagaganyan siya matulog So, instead of deep sleep na siya, nagigising siya kasi nga merong involuntary na pag-pull ng leeg from one side to another. The next one is the ataxia. I think this is another type lang din ng tremor, which is the causes of uncoordinated or clumsy balance, the movements ng elderly. Yun nga, yung galaw-galaw involuntarily. Next is the most common reason din bakit naapektuhan ang sleep ng elderhood is the urinary problem. Dapat every hour, napapansin ko din yung si nanay natutulog, every hour nagigising siya para lang maihi. So, it is a common occurrence sa elderly. Behavioral slowing. One of the most commonly noted markers of aging is gradual slowing in response to stimuli. Behavioral slowing is observed in motor responses, reaction time, problem-solving abilities, memory skills, and information processing. So, kung ma-receive ang stimulus, kay mag-retrieve man yan ng related information from the memory ng person na nag-process para makatake action yung tao. Tapos, ma-observe ang behavioral slowing based sa responses if gaano ba kabilis mag-respond ang isang tao because of the given signal. And ma-pressure din ang kanilang behavioral slowing sa time it takes to do mental processing. Merong identified accounts or causes for behavioral slowing, which are biological, learned, and motivation. So first is the biological level. Ito na yung age-related degeneration or decline. Humihina na ang neural firing sa nervous system to transmit messages. So yun nga, mas matagalan na sila mag-retrieve ng information from the memory at para makakreate din ng action ng isang tao. Kasi nga, yung myelin sheath na responsible sa speed of neurotransmission ay nag-degenerate na. Kaya slower na rin ang speed of information processing. So, yun nga, ang speed of processing may be the only one of the many factors na naapektuhan ng age-related degeneration ng isang tao. Next is the learned cautiousness. With experience, people learn to respond slowly in order to avoid making mistakes. They have to go slowly but surely. Elderly adults trust what they learned and know. Example is, para maiwasan yung accidents na matapilo sila sa stairs, they walk slowly every time dadaan sila sa stairs. So, ang elderly din, when confronted with new experimental problem-solving tasks, take longer good ang adults na mag-answer kasi they are not comfortable with new strategies. So, doon na mahulog yung crystallized and the fluid intelligence, which is yung report ko din sa EdSci, na mas nag-base yung elderly sa crystallized or yung nalalearn nila. Kumbaga, ang mga younger, nagabase sa fluid intelligence sa kanilang analytical skills na without prior knowledge, ginagamit nila ang kanilang logic and analysis para mag-solve ng problems. While ang elderly naman, yun nga, meron silang learned cautiousness, ayaw nila magkamali na experience nila dati, mas magiging slow ang kanilang processing kasi nag-base sila sa kung ano kanilang alam at natutunan dati. Next is the motivation. Yun nga, low level of motivation to perform a task or unwillingness lang talaga nila na gawin kaya mas mahina ang kanilang behavior. Siya. Sensory changes. Every sense modality, vision, hearing, taste, touch, and smell is vulnerable to age-related changes. So yun, let's go to vision. In the age group of 20 to 35, constant decline in accommodation as lenses begin to harden at about age 20. With age, your lens loses flexibility and begins to stiffen. Accommodation allows the eye to adjust focus from seeing things at a distance and tune itself to seeing near objects. Yun nga, lenses are the ones that focuses the object. Next is in the age group of 35 to 65, sharp decline in acuity after 40, delayed adjustment to shifts in light and dark. So when we say acuity, ito yung the measure of the ability of the eye to distinguish shapes and the details of objects at a given distance. Dito mahulog yung 20/20 vision na you can see things 20 feet away properly. Distinguish niyo ang object. Yung iba 15/20, yung 15 feet away lang. Kaya nga, nag-decline siya habang tumatagal. So, in the ages of 65 and up is that sensitivity to glare. Increased problems with daily visual tasks, increases in diseases of the eye that produces partial or total blindness. So, glare, is the light that enters your eye and interferes with your vision. So, mas nasisilawan na yung mga mas kakatanda. Kaya, napansin ko din sa lolo ko, nagabasa siya ng book, not with the light fluorescent, pero yung parang siyang brownish na light kasi nga, sabi niya, masakit daw sa mata yung light na nag-enter sa mata niya, sabi niya sa akin. So, next is hearing. In the age group of 20 to 35, pitch discrimination for high-frequency tones begins to decline. Those 35 to 65, continued gradual loss in pitch discrimination until the age of 50. For 65 and up, sharp loss in pitch discrimination after 70. Sound must be more intense to be heard. So, yun nga ang hearing, auditory perception ng tao. Yun na meron talagang differences na hindi na nila ma-identify sa sound, sa pitch, between sa tones. Kaya, dapat na, as one grows older, nagabukol, sa ako nag-start to put siya. Pero sa mga elderly jud, grabe na jud siya to the point na dapat duol ka magstorya sa ilaha og you have a loud voice. Next, in changes in sensory is the taste and smell. Sa ages 20 to 35, walang documented changes. Sa 35 to 65, loss of taste buds begin. Tapos sa 65 and up, higher threshold for detecting sour, salt, and bitter taste, higher threshold for detecting smells and errors in identifying odors. So, yun nga, ang taste bud, diba, ng tongue, nag-identify ng taste. And it serves as the, nag-help siya sa nose para maka-identify ng smell. Kasi diba kung wala kang sense of taste, wala din yung pag-smell mo, hindi din strong. And vice versa. So, both sensations are communicated to the brain kasi diba chemical senses din sila, which integrates the information so that the flavors and aromas can be appreciated and recognized. So, yun nga, ang reduced sensitivity ng elderly may be related to certain medications, yung mga gum disease, dentures, some infections, cancer treatments, or alcohol consumptions. So, loss of smell in older adults can increase their vulnerability to illness or accidents if they ignore the cues. So, yun nga, napansin ko din sa lola ko. Since hindi na siya nakakaamoy very well, pag nagasaing, dapat ako yung nagabantay. Kasi kung hindi, may one time kasi nakauwi ako na sunog na yung sinaing kasi hindi naamoy ng lola ko. So, yun nga, may loss of smell. So, yun, changes in the sense of smell and taste din ng mga elderly. Nag-cause siya or nag-result ng loss of appetite or disruption of their normal eating habit. Coping with sensory changes. As a result of the various patterns of aging among the very old, it is impossible to prescribe an ideal pattern of coping. So, kasi nga, di ba, the elderly is dealing with change, and it is hard naman to accept change. And imagine you are growing up to establish your independence, and you were very independent for very long. Tapos bigla mo na lang mag-depend sa iba due to body decline. So yun, mahuhulog yung SOC model for coping. It is a psychological model describing the strategies that are used for life management during lifespan. Yun, which is na-discuss ni Kuya Jello sa class last time. So, SOC model adaptation requires the integration of three processes. First one is the selection or identifying the opportunities or domains of activity that are of the greatest value or importance. So, let's say sa case ng lola ko, my lola is a professor. So, sa tatlo na sensory na yan, vision, hearing, sa taste and smell, ang pinaka-importante daw sa kanya is hearing. Kasi paano siya makakaroon ng class discussion kung hindi niya daw naririnig ang kanyang mga students ng maayos. So, yun na ang sa selection phase, yung nag-identify ng mga domains na may importance sa buhay ng isang tao. So, next is the optimization. Ito yung allocating and refining resources in order to achieve higher levels of functioning in the selected domain. So, the selected domain is the hearing. So, paano ba ito ma-refine? So, yun nga, para mag-function well ang hearing ng lola ko, set up for her own personalized hearing aid na ginagamit niya sa klase. Para yun nga, maka-function well pa rin ang kanyang hearing. Next is the compensation. Under condition of reduced resources, identifying strategies to counteract the loss and minimize the negative impact on functioning in selected domains. So, yun nga, nag-degenerate na ang hearing ng lola ko. So, pag hindi siya gumagamit ng hearing aid niya kasi nga sabi niya daw, masakit siya if prolong lang din yung aid sa ears niya. So, ginatanggal. So, para mag-function well, pagkausapin namin si lola ko, dapat malapit and malakas. And pag naganood siya ng TV, dapat malakas din yung volume. Doon na, nag-adjust kami lahat, pati siya, para sa condition na nag-reduce ng function ng kanyang hearing. So yun, para walang negative impact, nag-adjust lahat properly. So, how can we characterize the level of health, illness, and functional independence in the later life? So, in this stage of elderhood, pinagtutuunan talaga ng pansin ang health since ka-decline na ang systems of the body, which makes it harder to heal from illnesses. Mas vulnerable na ang mga matatanda sa sakit due to this degeneration of systems. So, one is the arthritis or the swelling of joints that leads to the pain and limited movement, osteoporosis, weakening of bones and the risk of fractures. Next is diabetes or high blood pressure. Hindi tama ang sugar level ng katawan that could also lead to health problems including heart attack, stroke, and kidney failure. These concerns and health and illnesses lead to certain limitation to elderly. Paano ba sila maka-function well in normal tasks as getting in or out of bed or chair, bathing, using the toilet, dressing, eating, walking, etc. But we still underestimate the elderly and the thought of them being slow and frail. But we are proved wrong by the majority of them kasi elderly can continue to live in their own households and perform tasks of daily life.
Good day everyone, I am Arian Pisibayan from 2AB Psych A. So let's move on to the next topic, which is developing a psychohistorical perspective. In this objective, I'll be describing the concept of an altered perspective on time and history that emerges among the long-lived, but syempre according sa book. So, in this stage, it includes gains and losses. Through encounters with diverse experiences, nare-reach ng adults ang new levels ng conscious thought. They became more aware sa alternatibong mga bagay. They are able to acknowledge that conflicting forces can coexist. So, the product of this integration of past, present, and future ay ang formation ng psychohistorical perspective. Um, Through a process of creative coping, they are able to blend their memorable events sa kanilang past sa demands ng panahon ngayon. So as society becomes more accustomed to having a significant group of elders functioning in the community, some scholars anticipate that a culture of aging will emerge in technological societies. So, sabi dito, culture of aging is likely to provide more opportunities for the expression of the pragmatic wisdom accumulated over a long lifetime through theater, music, arts, and critical commentary. So, sa ibang bansa, no, meron yung gantong setup like sa UK. Yung mga pensioners, nag-create sila ng retirement lunch na online setting siya where maka-interact mo yung mga taong retired na. Very important kasi talaga ang social interaction when you've decided to leave your work for good, where you can share your knowledge, experiences, and insights sa mga younger generation. Kasi 'di ba, we are all part of the process of psychosocial evolution. So elders are likely to be parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents. Kay, di ba napansin nyo, mga very old adult kay very talkative sila. Paulit-ulit na lang yung mga kwento nila from their past. Nakakasawa na gani minsan kasi lagi na lang, kami noon, ganito, ganyan. Pero kasi, for them, siguro, it will help as younger generation na maging connected sa past ba, na in the future, magagamit natin yung stories nila to survive. So, according to Eric Erikson, the elder has a reservoir of strength in the wellsprings of history and storytelling. Telling the stories and telling them well marks a certain capacity for one generation to entrust themselves to the next by passing on a certain shared and collective identity to the survivors of the next generation, which is the future. According to Alman, Brandsadler, Rothermund, Krantz and Kuhn 2010, having lived a long time and envisioning less time in the future, elders are more likely to be more forgiving, less interested in material accumulation, and more focused on the emotional satisfaction of life. Very true ito. Kasi noong buhay pa si Lolo, I used to magkupit sa bulsa ng katatanggal niyang pants from labas. Naaktuhan niya man ako, edi I ask for forgiveness. Tapos ibalik ko dapat yung pera pero di niya na tinanggap and gibigay niya na lang sa akin. And growing up, I realized na one of the reasons siguro na hindi na siya nagalit sa akin because ayun nga, gusto na lang nila i-enjoy yung time na natitira and ayaw na nila masyado mag-engage sa stressful events. For them ay small things na lang. So now, let's talk about dementia. Ano nga ba ang dementia? So according sa book, it is the loss of thinking, memory, and reasoning skills that significantly impairs a person's ability to carry out daily tasks. As a result of living a long time, may mga uncertainties talagang may experience. Isa na rito yung pagkakaroon ng dementia sa mga elders. According sa book, may 5 sintomas ng dementia. So first ay inability to remember information. Second, asking the same questions over and over again. Third, becoming lost or confused in familiar places. Fourth, being unable to follow directions. Last is neglecting personal safety, hygiene, or nutrition. If may grandparents kayo na grandparents or kakilala na may dementia, you can share your experiences or encounters sa mga taong may ganon sa comment section. So, two of the most common causes of dementia in older people are vascular dementia and Alzheimer's disease. Hindi familiar sa akin yung vascular dementia, so I did research. So, vascular dementia is the supply of blood to the brain is disrupted, resulting in the death of the brain cells. It's describing problems daw with reasoning, planning, judgment, memory, and other thought processes na makakos sa brain damage from impaired blood flow sa brain. So, the other one is Alzheimer's disease. It produces a more gradual loss of memory, reduced intellectual functioning, and an increase of mood disturbances, especially hostility and depression. So, sabi rito, the incidence of this disease increases with age. Yung iba kay below, below 60 kay affected na nito. Whereas, an estimated 45% of those ages 85 and older kay na-diagnose na. A person with Alzheimer's disease experiences gradual brain failure over a period of 7 to 10 years. The symptoms of this disease are severe problems in cognitive functioning, problems with self-care, and behavioral problems. So, yung mga na-diagnose sa gantong disease, madalas ay irritable sila na parabang ang laki ng galit nila sa mundo. Ga-space out sila madalas, tapos ka-imagine ng mga bagay na wala naman doon. Noise, conversation, crowds, tapos mga activities, kay sa kanila overstimulating and too difficult for them to process or understand. Madalas sa mga na-diagnose sa Alzheimer disease, kay sa bahay lang gud inaalagaan ng kanilang mga anak or asawa. So let's proceed to the next topic. Traveling uncharted territory, life structures and elderhood. So, in this objective, I will summarize elements of the lifestyle structure in elderhood, especially living arrangements and gender roles, and analyze the impact of these life structures for continued well-being. So, how should elders behave ba? Ano ba yung mga norms na nag-guide sa kanilang social relationships every day? Ano ba yung mga dapat na galaw ng healthy elders? So, when one reaches elderhood, one can do whatever one wants. Sabi dito, changes in role relationships, especially role loss in later adulthood. It presents significant challenges to the preservation of a coherent self-concept. Sa elderhood, we've learned that there is an opportunity to engage in many new roles. On the other hand, ang elderhood naman kay must focus sila sa kanilang sarili at sa kanilang well-being. The MacArthur Foundation Research Network on Successful Aging has offered a new interdisciplinary perspective on the distinction between usual and successful aging. So, usual aging is characterized by functioning well, which extrinsic factors heighten the effects of aging alone. Ang successful agers naman ay characterized by three interdependent features. Hindi sila, first kasi, hindi sila madaling tablan ng diseases. Second, they maintain high cognitive and physical function. And ang last, kasi active ang engagement nila sa buhay. So, di ba, may mga norms na sinusunod ang elders sa araw-araw. So, sa book, may 4 normative principles na nakalap ang mga researchers. So, ito yun kay, first, don't be sorry for yourself. Hindi kasi porke matanda ka na, i-view mo na yung sarili mo as walang silbi. So, this negativity will affect your well-being and possible na maka-attract ng diseases, di ba? Second, try to be independent. Not all the time baya kasama mo ang mga anak or apo mo, nandyan always para paghandaan ka ng makakain. No, dapat mag-initiate rin kasi hindi lang sa'yo revolve ang mundo ng mga tao sa paligid mo. Third, don't just sit there, do something. As what I've said, not because matanda ka na, wala ka nang gagawin. Go out, enjoy your remaining time. Eme, not eme. Lastly, be sociable. So, ayun nga, go out and touch some grass and maki-interact sa mga kaedad or mga present na tao sa paligid mo. Sense of agency thinking is not as highly valued as action. In many studies, finding meaning in one's existence, continuing to experience a sense of social competence, and perceptions of self-efficacy help older adults maintain a sense of well-being. Magiging successful yung aging nila if they will not allow negativity to enter their life. Diba? Tama man din. So, living arrangements changes after age 75, especially sa kababaihan. Napapansin ko na, or kayo din siguro, napapansin nyo ba na hinihiwalay ng tirahan ng mga anak or relatives yung parents nila if matanda na good? Either ginasend nila sa home for elders or ipaalaga nila sa hindi nila kaano-ano or maybe sa kaano-ano nila. Or meron din yung mga anak na ginahayaan na lang nilang mabuhay mag-isa. So, housing for elderly, sometimes referred to as retirement housing, has expanded dramatically and developers have experimented with a great variety of housing configuration that are intended to meet the special needs of particular aging populations. Hindi lang housing but meron ding institutional care for elders. Base sa book, about 1.3 million adults older than 65 live in skilled care facilities or nursing homes. Ga-provide sila ng care and rehabilitations para sa mga elders na malala ang sakit or may dementia. Halos lahat ng nursing homes ay part ng continuing care retirement community. So, it is a residential setting offering housing and medical, preventive health, and social services to residents who are well at that time they enter the community. Community-based long-term health care. So, it is the fastest growing component of the Medicare program, which provides medical and social services to those who are chronically ill and eligible for institutionalization. Ito yung community na ga-help provide sa mga anak or relatives na nag-aalaga sa kanilang elders. Kasan sila ng support sa mga elders na mas piniling magstay na lang sa bahay nila with their caregivers instead sa pagtira sa nursing home. Next, gentrification. So, gentrification is a process of urban renewal or renovation in which new homeowners and developers invest in the rehabilitation of neighborhoods that have been declining or deteriorating due to lack of maintenance and upkeep of the properties. Ano nga ba yung mga negative impact ng gentrification sa mga elders? So, Base sa book, several consequences of gentrification can have a negative impact on the housing options of elders. First is first is yung mga rental apartments kay pinapalitan ng condominiums which is hindi na ma-afford ng elders. Second, sa ibang areas na walang rent control, mas tinataasan yung rate hanggang sa hindi na ma-afford ng elders. Tapos third, yung ibang rooms kay ginademolish nila para patayuan ng bagong buildings. Although gentrification poses threats to housing for the elderly, the alternative of ongoing neglect and decay in urban neighborhoods brings its own risk. So next, the idea of gender role convergence suggests a transformation of gender role orientation during midlife. According to this theoretical perspective, ang mga lalaki ay mas nagiging caring and concerned sa kanilang social relationships, while ang mga babae mas nagiging assertive and concerned sila sa kanilang success. Men and women Men and women appear to be similar in their affiliative value. So, affiliative value, ito yung importance ng relationships nila with their self, family, friends, and others, as well as yung desire nila na mapanatili yung positive bonds sa society. At each stage, men are more invested than women in instrumental values. So, ang instrumental values naman kasi associated siya with behaviors that help individuals achieve their terminal values. So, that's all. Thank you.
Good day everyone, I'm Chrissy Ojolan and my topic for this chapter is all about the psychological crisis, which is immortality versus extinction. So, immortality, elders have a unique appreciation of time. They recognize that there is a finite amount of future time until their death, as well as an unlimited transcendental future time that begins with their death and extend onward into infinity. So, I don't know if lahat ba ng elders, but some elders believe, diba, if you're old, you're close to death. And in this book, elders are not afraid of death because they believe na if mawala man sila dito sa mundo, hindi pa noon katapusan lahat, kasi in another life meron pa rin silang mga transcendental goals. So they begin to see themselves as linked in a long fluid chain of historical and biological growth and change. Yun nga, hindi pa doon nagtatapos lahat. In another life, continue pa rin yung biological growth and change. So the positive pull of this crisis is confidence in the continuity of life, a transcendence of death through the development of symbolic sense of immortality. So, the achievement of this perspective, which may include the incorporation of transcendental goals. So, yun nga, kahit mawala sila dito sa mundo, meron pa rin silang mga transcendental goals, such as reuniting with loved ones after death or being released from the limitation of an aging body. Kasi nga, diba, nung nandito pa sila, nabubuhay pa sila dito sa mundo, is limited lang yung kaya nilang gawin. So, they believe na if ever in another life, they will be released from the limitation of an aging body, may be accompanied with sentiments of joy which contribute to feelings of well-being, flexibility, and acceptance of challenges of aging. So, a psychological sense of immortality may be achieved and expressed in many ways. So, here we explore the 5 possible paths toward immortality. So, first, one may live through one's children, sensing a connection and attachment to the future through one's life and the lives of one's offspring. So, dito, elders believe na even if mawala man sila dito sa mundo, still, they are alive through their relatives or their children or their grandchildren. Like, through them, makaka-feel pa rin sila na connected sila dito sa mundo and sa future dahil sa kanila. And this type of immortality can be extended to include devotion to one's country, social organization or groups, or humankind. Second, one may believe in an afterlife, an immortal soul or spiritual plane of existence that extends beyond one biological life. So, yun nga, yung sinabi ko kanina, kahit na kahit naman mawala ka, hindi pa doon nagtatapos lahat. Kasi, ang example dito is, among many indigenous people, there is a sacred link between the living and the dead. So, ang responsibility daw sa part ng mga nabubuhay pa is to protect the burial grounds and burial grounds ng mga ancestor nila, and also yung responsibility naman ng mga ancestor nila is to protect the well-being of the living. So katulad din ng mga ginagawa natin, 'di ba? If ever katulad ng mga na always ginagawa natin, like kung meron naman nawala sa buhay natin, mga taong nawala na, 'di ba? Kahit nawala na sila, still na tinitreat natin sila, na buhay pa rin sila, like nakikipag-usap pa rin tayo kasi we believe na there is an immortal soul. We believe na naririnig pa rin tayo nila, like nagpe-pray tayo minsan sa kanila na i-guide mo kami, ganon ganyan, and then yung ang ginagawa din natin is pumupunta tayo sa sementeryo, tapos nagsisindi tayo ng kandila, ganon. Kasi para sa atin, meron pa rin tayong connection sa kanila. So, third, one may achieve a sense of immortality through creative achievements and their impact on others. So, many people find comfort in believing that they are part of a chain of positive influence on the lives of others. So, kaya ka makakasense ng immortality dito kasi nga, even if mawala ka man dito sa mundo, you are, meron kang assurance sa sarili mo na many people will remember you. Kasi nga, meron kang nagawa para sa kanila and may impact yung buhay mo sa kanila. Like, marami kang nagawa para sa community mo, marami kang natulungan na tao and na-inspire. Kaya nga, sinabi dito, you live as long as someone knows your name. And, kaya dito, parang magpapatuloy pa rin ang legacy mo. Fourth, one may develop the notion of participation in the chain of nature. So, in that, one's body returns to earth and one's energy is brought forth in a new form. So, self-explanatory naman siya, no? So lastly, one may achieve a sense of immortality through what Lifton described as experiential transcendence. So, experiential transcendence includes a feeling of continuous present that can be equated with eternity or with mythical times. So, this continuous present is perceived as not only here and now, but as inseparable from past and future. So, yun nga, continuous present, katulad na sinabi ko kanina, na even though elders, kaya nga, ang elders are not afraid of death because even though mawala man sila dito sa mundo, still they can feel na, still they can feel na they are alive and continuous ang kanilang presence dahil through their children or grandchildren or even religion. So, extinction, obviously, kabaliktaran siya ng immortality, no? So, instead of faith in the ideas of connection and continuity, one experiences a fear of extinction, a fear that one's life and its end amount to nothing. So, dito, mostly ang older dito is they are afraid to die because they believe that they did not live a fulfilling life, which is their their efforts, striving, hoping, and struggles did not amount to much. And dapat daw, para ma-resolve tong crisis na to is, they are expected that they have momentary thoughts that there is nothing more, that the end is truly an end. Condition in a long-term care facilities may contribute to the sense of extinction for some elders. So dito, study shows na some elders are victims of violence where they are consistently mistreated by the nurses or the doctors. So, dahil dito, dahil nga wala silang magawa para i-punish yung mga nag-mistreat sa kanila, so it increases their feeling of despair and withdrawal. So, kaya ayun, naging big factor yun para makasense sila ng extinction. Without appropriate social support and in the face of substantially reduced physical and psychological resources, a significant number of the very old and their own lives. So, yun nga, nag-increase yung rate ng, study shows, nag-increase yung rate ng suicide among elders kasi nga, especially men, kasi nga, they don't have appropriate social support, and also they are consistently mistreated. So because of the feeling of worthlessness and hopelessness or helplessness, they don't have any other choice but to commit suicide. So the central process, which is the social support. Social support has been defined as the social experiences that lead people to believe that they are cared for and loved, esteemed and valued, and belong to a network of communication of mutual obligation. So dito na, social support has a big factor para sa mga elders. Kasi nga, through social support, we can make elders feel na there are still people na nag-care sa kanila and nag-love. And through this, we can make them feel esteemed and valued. Also, the sense of belongingness na it doesn't mean na di porket matanda na sila, it doesn't mean na they don't belong into a network or group. So, ang social support, it is commonly divided into two different complementary categories, which is the socio-emotional support and the instrumental support. So, ang sa socio-emotional support, dito naka-include ang expression of affection, respect, and esteem. And also, ang instrumental support naman, dito nabibilong yung direct assistance, including help with medical care or transportation. So, both type of social support, but especially socio-emotional support, contribute to maintaining well-being and fostering the possibility of transcending the physical limitation that accompany aging. The benefits of social support. People who have intimate companions in later life have higher levels of satisfaction. They feel valued and valuable. So this kind of social support is likely to be most appreciated when it comes from friends and neighbors, or members of the community who are not bound by familial obligation to care about the person but who do so anyway. So yun nga, kaya nakaka-feel sila ng valued and valuable kasi nanggagaling yung social support na yun is nanggagaling yun from their friends, neighbors, or members of the community. So alam nila na hindi nila to ginagawa, hindi sila nagpapakita ng support because they are obliged to, but nagpapakita sila ng support because they do it out of their love and care for that person. So the presence of caring, familiar people provides a flow of affection, information, advice, transportation, and assistance with meals and daily activities, finances, and healthcare, all critical resources. So ang presence ng support system tend to reduce the impact of stressor and protect people, or especially elders, from some of their negative consequences, especially serious illnesses and depression. Social integration and membership in a meaningful social support network are associated with increased longevity. So, bakit nga ba maka-increase ito ng longevity? So, the support system often serves to encourage an older person to maintain healthcare practices and to seek medical attention when it is needed. So, the more than you are member of a meaningful social support network is in times na kailangan mo ng financial support, meron kang makukuhang tulong sa kanila and matutulungan kanila. So the dynamics of social support. The norm of reciprocity implies that you are obligated to return in full value what you receive. One good turns deserve another. So from the word reciprocity or reciprocate, dapat you're able to reciprocate the help that you receive, or they are able to reciprocate the help that you give to them. And most elders continue to see themselves as involved in reciprocal supportive relationship with their friends. Kaya totoo naman, 'di ba? Kasi pag nakikita natin yung parents natin or yung elders natin, pag may humihingi ng tulong sa kanila na friends nila or something, relatives or sino pa man, is they are able to help kasi alam nila na yung tao na yan na naghingi ng tulong is nakatulong rin sa kanila. And older adults may expect receive more care from their children when they're ill than they can provide in exchange. So, totoo naman, di ba, meron tayong tinatawag na utang na loob. So, sa time na yung parents natin or yung mga lola at lolo natin is nagkasakit sila or something na nangangailangan sila, we can able to provide them what they needed kasi nga yun yung ina-expect nila sa atin in exchange doon sa love and care na binigay nila sa atin while nung bata pa lang tayo. So, social relationship include both positive and negative interaction. The social support network. Social support system are extended in childhood and early adolescence through identification with peer group, and in early and middle adulthood through marriage and childbearing and relationship with coworkers and adult friends. So for many adults, religious participation provides an additional source of social support because members of the religious congregation are likely to provide one another with both emotional and instrumental social support. Then para sa kanila is they see themselves as more religious than those younger adults. So ethnic identity itself may also become an important vehicle for social support in later life because it can provide a sources of non-familiar support from a loose network of association to membership in formal clubs and organization. So bakit nga ba? Kasi with ethnic group, they feel a strong sense of community as a result of their shared exposure, and then to past discrimination, a realization of common concerns, and a sense of responsibility to preserve some of the authenticity of their ethnic identity for future generations. Also, involvement in a social support system can be viewed as an essential ingredient in the achievement of a sense of immortality. So, the social support system kasi confirms the value of elders, providing direct evidence of their positive impact on others and a sense of embeddedness in their social communities. So, the social support system of elders usually includes adult children, positive interaction with them, and contribute to the sense of living on through one's offspring and their descendants. So, the prime adaptive ego quality and the core pathology. So, confidence. Confidence refers to a conscious trust in oneself and assurance about the meaningfulness of life. So, in elderhood, after a lifetime of facing challenges and experiencing losses and gains, so, dito na, dahil dyan, na-develop ang kanilang confidence, which is, one has a new belief in the validity of one's intuition, and trust in one's worldview, and a continued belief in one's capacity to participate in a world on one's own terms. So confidence is sustained by a stable, supportive social networks. Older adults who feel they are able to engage in the activities they enjoy and to interact with people they value are also more likely to believe that they can adapt to the new challenges they face. So as a result of confidence, ang elderhood dito is they are less disrupted by the stressful events and more hopeful about being able to find successful solution in the face of negative events. So, physical health and age are not the best predictors of confidence because some people view themselves as more impaired and dependent than they actually are. Others who may be suffering from serious illnesses continue to view their situation with optimism. So, diffidence. Diffidence refers to an inability to act because of overwhelming self-doubt. So, diffidence is considered one of the basic factors underlying personality disorders. So, yung confidence kanina is may trust siya sa sarili niya, and then dito sa diffidence, wala. Kasi kabaliktaran siya ng confidence. And then, diffidence is likely to be associated with hopelessness among the elderly. Hopelessness is experienced as a negative expectancy about the future and a sense of futility about having an impact on impending events. So, dahil dito, most elderly, nag-commit na lang sila ng suicide. And then, ayun, kasi nga, they are more likely prone sa depression. Defining frailty. Frailty has been typically operationalized in terms of dependency. So, one common approach is to list any difficulties in the ADLS. So, ang meaning sa ADLS is activities of daily living. So, including bathing, dressing, transferring from the bed to a chair, using the toilet, and eating. Sometimes this assessment include walking a short distance because this degree of motor ability is usually required to function independently. So beyond these basic types of self-care, an expanded notion of dependency refers to difficulty in managing instrumental activities of daily living, such as shopping, preparing meals, doing light housework, using transportation, or using telephone. So ang dependency or difficulty in managing ADLS it increases markedly after age 85. Supporting optimal functioning. To support optimal functioning of elderly people, one must accurately assess their limitations. So, meron kasing mga tao or mga bata or children na with aging parents na they take away the independence of their parents, in which may tendency na once the children realize nga yung parents is not functioning at the same high level of competence that he or she enjoyed, the children move toward a role reversal. So, pag sinabing role reversal is sila yung pumapalit sa role ng parents nila, in which they dominate their parents, insisting on taking over all financial matters, in which or attempting to relocate their parents to a more protective housing arrangement. So some children take away all their parents' decision making responsibility. So the second, supporting the optimal functioning of frail elderly people requires an individualized approach. Each person has a unique profile of competencies and limitation. Kasi for some, the physical environment presents the greatest barriers to optimal functioning. The role of community. Intervention at the community level may be necessary to meet their safety, health, and social needs. Community outreach would have to provide a wide variety of services to a culturally diverse population with a special attention to poverty-related concern. A unique set of coordinated services for elders is described as Project CARE in San Diego, California. The project supports frail older adults in living independently and feeling secure. This program has several components. So, postal alert. So, itong mga postal carriers are trained to keep a watchful eye on older residents. So, if ang mail is not collected from mailboxes, so sila yung mag-check sa residents and report a problem. So, second is daily calls. Computer-generated phone calls at a time selected by the client. If call is not answered, volunteers make follow-up calls. So, third is gatekeeper. So, utility workers and sanitation engineers keep an eye on older adults by recognizing signs of trouble such as uncollected newspapers or garbage not set out on collection day. Concerns are forwarded to proper agency. So, healthcare info. Older adults receive a medical information box that affixes a refrigerator. Box contains medical history info, medication records, and other health-related data. So, the information is used by the paramedics responding to emergency in a client's home. So, home repairs. Volunteers and local businesses help make minor home repairs and support health and safety. So, Safe Return, a national program of the Safe Return, a national program of Alzheimer Association. Safe returns help local authorities locate, identify, and return home individuals with dementia. So, beyond personal networks of social support, communities had been characterized by different level of collective efficacy, which combines a strong sense of social cohesion with a high level of informal social control. So, the rule of creative action. So, people can do a lot for themselves to promote a fulfilling life. So, people can do anything in life so that they can create, when they get older, they will feel a fulfilling life na without regrets or anything. So very old adults can alter the structure of their environment to preserve optimal functioning and enhance their sense of well-being. So pag sinabing optimal functioning is preserving their, so they can create their own environment by preserving their independency and enhance their sense of well-being. So, maintaining a sense of control over important life rules and activities contributes to longevity and well-being. So, pag yung mga elderly people is they can maintain a sense of control over their life, then it can contribute to longevity and well-being and to their well-being.